Hello. It's me, and apparently, as usual, when I start off these things, there's nobody there. Look at this. I should have done something with my hair first, because now my hair is a complete nightmare and a half. So yeah, excuse me. I've had a really rough few days, and I really didn't intend to do this because the universe continually takes things as a challenge for some reason, and decides to take an already not very good situation and just make it continually worse. And I'm clicking through here because I thought maybe I might try and do a little bit of drawing if I can set it up. We'll see. Where to begin? You're probably looking at me and looking at the left side of my face, and you're probably thinking, Phil, what is that huge thing coming out of your eye? To which I would probably say, none of your damn business. But because I know people are probably looking at it and won't stop looking at it now. Yes, this is a rather bulbous chalazion or calazion, depending on where you're from, slash sty. They're kind of the same thing, slightly different, but this started a few days ago. They take a long time to go away. You have to use heat compresses, and you just have to wait it out. This one's particularly larger than normal, and so I'm just waiting for it to drain. And yes, I know that sounds kind of gross. It's going to be very gross. And so anyways, it started developing about a week ago. I've had colossians before. They're usually small little white dots kind of on your eyelids. Hi, Jim. Good to see you too. Sort of just filling on the situation here with what's been going on because I went to go see a doctor for this stupid thing. And I've had colossians before. They're usually very small white dots. And I know I've been to doctors before and gotten medication and that, and way back in the past. I know to use hot compresses on it. So I saw this starting to build up, and it didn't look normal, but I started trying a hot compress, but boy, this one was not going to give up without a fight. And so I went to go see my doctor Tuesday morning. Finally got an appointment set to see her Tuesday morning. And the universe decided to take that as a challenge. And that you don't have enough going on in your life. And as I got up out of bed, my back went, and I could not move. Couldn't move. So I crawled out of bed, dragged myself up, and forced myself in great pain to walk down the street to my doctor's because it's my doctor's office is it's a good 12-minute walk or so. It's too close to bother with an Uber. Ubers aren't going to respond to requests that short of a distance. They just won't. And it's far enough that it was going to be painful. So I struggled my way to my doctor's office, talked to her. I actually managed to pick up a couple of things at the store on my way home. I don't know how I did it, but when I got home, I just kind of collapsed in bed. And this is normally my days off. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, I normally have off. And this usually when I like to try and get things done at home, and wasn't going to do anything. Couldn't do anything. Couldn't move out of that bed. I kind of struggled to get over on the computer for a bit. Did a few things, and I couldn't sit up in the chair for very long. I've taken lots of Advil, extra strength Advil, the muscle and joint Advil, which I was highly recommended by my old landlord about a year and a half ago. She gave me some. I've had some neighbors here in the building that have been kind enough to give me lots of things like Aleve and other stuff. So I've got lots of meds to try and kill the pain. So I'm moving, and I'm hoping to go back to work tomorrow night. Hopefully, we'll see how this goes. But this thing is going to be a while. I have to wait until it decides to kind of give up and start the draining process, which I know sounds gross, and it's going to be gross. Such is my life. So yeah, I'd hoped to have Enrique on tonight, but he's still really busy. He's got seems he's always got something going on. Look at the shine on this. I should. Wow. Um, I just realized these lights that I've got, how much glare comes off of me. Good heavens. It looks, it is a little warm here, but probably not as much as it looks. Yeah, Enrique was going to, I've been talking to Enrique. He's really busy. He's got some family, I think, visiting him. So we're going to have him on next week. And then I'd like to see if the following week I can get someone else on as well. I'm trying to pull some strings and get a couple of people lined up for different guests each Wednesday night, and trying to have some fun with that and talk with some different artists and properly plan it. I haven't been able to properly plan anything. So we'll can only take this a day at a time as it comes. So yeah, so that's kind of it. If I remember how to do this, I opened up Clip Studio Paint, and I know there's a way to add this to my screen, and I don't even know what I'm going to do. I just I can't just really spring into things that much without sort of a plan. If I'm going to do a caricature, or if I want to do a specific drawing, I have to pre-plan it a little bit, not just in my head, but do a bit of physical pre-planning. And because things like this intro that you just saw at the beginning of this video took way longer than it was supposed to. I ran into a few issues with it, and we should have only taken maybe an hour or less. Took well over 2.5 to 3 hours. And yeah, I'm still getting running into the issue of still getting calls coming through. I don't know why, but it's like every time I go to like do a live stream, somebody messages, calls. I had a friend from London. I thought he was going to phone me, but he sent me a text. And I've had a few people send me something on Instagram Messenger. A couple of people were trying to get a hold of me. I'm like, gonna have to be later. Sorry, your timing is bad. So, and there's also another good friend of mine that messaged me, but I do want to talk to him after this is over. I need to get a hold of him. So I will get around to everyone. But yeah, I should... I did open this up, which I'm playing with here. I got Clip Studio Paint open here, and I was thinking of doing something, and I'm really just kind of not sure what, because I did start a live. I've been... I don't know how much to say. I hate saying things because I feel like if I talk about something, I'm going to curse it. I've been picking up the idea of working on a children's book again, because I had started one called Crocs with Socks, about an old man who ordered a pair of Crocs, and the people in the neighborhood kind of give him funny looks, but at the end of the day, it didn't really matter what he was wearing. And it was this fun story that was just sort of, certain things in society, the way we dress, the way we act, who we are, etc. People like to have a lot of opinions about that, and in the end, it kind of doesn't really matter. It's what you enjoy because this is your life, and so that was when I really wanted to do. Except I ran into an issue because the whole thing was around Crocs and the fact that it rhymed Crocs with socks, and I really loved this idea that I really wanted to do that. And then I ran into the issue that I didn't realize. I thought Crocs was a description of the footwear, like shoes or sandals or socks or Crocs. I thought it was a description. No, Crocs is a brand name. So I realized I can't write this story because it's copyrighted. So that's what there is actually. There is actually a children's book called Crocs and Socks. It's about a crocodile. Crocs and socks, but if I actually make reference to Crocs as the footwear, I'm going to run into some problems. And that company is not afraid to get to get legal with anyone. They've already fought Walmart on something. I'm just this little nobody. I thought about just going ahead with it anyways, but um, hey Matt, how you doing? Yeah, I thought about that. I did. I don't know if just the spelling could, maybe just the one letter. Maybe I didn't think about that, but I know I tried to do sandals and socks. I tried other variations, but it was just the fact those two rhymes, Crocs and socks. But there's already been a croc with a crocodile, but I had this specific story in mind about this old man who orders these things for his feet, and it all revolved around that, and so that I'm still kicking that around. I'm not sure what exactly to do with it just yet, but I may just go ahead with it anyways and sell copies privately, as opposed to just not really advertise it publicly, taking the conventions, etc., set them on my table if I get a table at a convention next May. So there's that idea that I had. And then there's also something that's come up, Mouse in the House. I'm still kind of working on that. Mouse in the House is just, as it sounds, it's a mouse that settles into this house, and the cat is expected to take care of it, but the cat makes friends with the mouse and ends up trying to protect him to save him, which has kind of been done before, but I don't know. I sort of ended up, you shouldn't start with a title and then go from there. You should really actually have an idea for a story and then work on a title after, but that's I don't know. I've done that before, unfortunately. That was a bad habit of mine in school. I'd come up with this great idea and then try and work around it. But yeah, I have actually 5 viewers at the moment. How did I do that? Everyone's come to see my eye. Can I say? But yeah, so I see if I can do a screen share here. I always kicking around ideas, right? The problem is I can kick around 1,000 ideas, and you can have 1,000 ideas in your head, and you have this great idea, and I jot them down on paper, and it's the execution. It's not that I'm lazy or don't want to work. I sit down and try and work on it. It's the fact that something always happens, right? Something always happens. That my back. I can't wait to see what's going to happen next week. Because Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are my days off. And I know Monday I'm actually, my friend Steve's coming down. We're supposed to go to the CNE because we promised we'd do that like ages ago. So, and I forgot that was coming up really fast. It was like, shit, is that here already? Yes, the CNE is. If any of my viewers are not from Canada, the CNE is the Canadian National Exhibition. That is a fair. It's a big fair in Toronto that we do every year for like the last 150 years. We've had the CNE fair. My folks took me when I was like that tall, and I still go every year. It's certainly not what it used to be, but I still like to go to it. It's cheaper after 5 o'clock. It used to be called 5 after 5. It was $5. They don't do that anymore. It's now like it's $11 after 5. So Matt says, is it going to be the last year for the CNE? Really? It's been going forever. Like the only time it didn't run was because of COVID. Really? The last year? I would be shocked if it is. That would sort of be terrible. I know the CNE, like I said, is not what it used to be, but news report. I'll look that up quickly after I'm done my stream. I want to find out about that. I grew up in London, Ontario, and London has its own fair every year called the Western Fair, and it's also been running, I think, almost as long as the CNE. It's been running for a long time, and because I grew up in London, my folks used to take me there every year, and it was always not great. a few highlights out of the CNE and put them into something much smaller, and that was the Western Fair. But it was local. It was where I lived. It was a big deal. It always happens right after the CNE. So literally, they shut down the CNE. A few of the parts of the CNE then go right over to London, and they set up in London, and they open it about a week later in London. They start the Western Fair, and it used to be a really good show. It used to be a pretty good show in London. It wasn't like the CNE really great, but it was still a pretty good show in London, the Western Fair. And boy, you go there now, and it's abysmal. It's like half the pavilions are empty. Their highlight is like a photo show or something, right? But my folks used to like to go there every year to get fudge. I mean, who doesn't like to go to the fair and get fudge? So that was why we went. But I tried doing caricatures, I think, there one year, like years ago. I think I tried to set up there, and it was really expensive. Same with CNE. I tried to see if I get a booth at the CNE. They wanted an astronomical amount of money for that. And this is like going back 10 years ago. I was setting up to do that. I forget what it was. The CNE is only like, 9 days, I think? I think it's like a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. And they wanted a phenomenal amount of money. And I was just like, I won't make anything. Like, I barely break even if I did like 100 caricatures a day. That's how much it was. I tried to see if I could negotiate for like, I just need a little spot outside to set up an umbrella and a couple of chairs and a sign. That's all I really need. Just a little space outside. They couldn't do it. They had to give me a specific assigned spot. They wanted to put me in the art building, and which would have been great, but they wanted this, like, I forget what it was. It was like $1,400, $1,500 or something. It was absolutely astronomical amount of money. I couldn't. I was like, "Hi, Terry. How are you?" I was gonna maybe see if I can attempt to do a bit of drawing. Oh, hit like. Thank you. Yes, if you're enjoying this, hit the like button. Apparently that does something for the algorithm, and it can help push videos out for whatever it's worth right now. But yeah, if you're watching and you like what you see, and you're welcome to hit the like button and all that good stuff. I was going to see if I could try and set up and draw, and I'll see if I can actually get the split screen going here. It's been a while since I've done this. With the window or the entire screen? The entire screen shows everything at the top. I don't know if I like doing that. And the window kind of eliminates a few things. There, I guess that's it. I still, for doing this kind of thing, I still prefer proper Streamlabs, because Streamlabs can fill the whole screen and I can arrange it a little better than this. So I'm not left with this blank space all around it. I know I can change this like this, but even see, this is a fixed size down in the corner, and in regular Streamlabs I can preset this and adjust it exactly the size I want. Where this, under Talk Studio, you're kind of limited to what you have here. Talk Studio is really great if you have guests, but I think for when you're streaming and doing art shows and you want to demonstrate something on the screen like this, I think regular Streamlabs is a little bit better for this sort of thing. However, there is more of a delay. In the chat. Streamlabs has the chats. The chats come through a little bit late. They come through about 10 to 20 seconds, but actual Streamlabs, it's really late. It's like 30 seconds to a minute sometimes. And this is going to offset, isn't it? When I start leaning into draw, I have to turn this. I was I went on to the Aaron Blaze. I noticed there was a. Let me back up. Sorry. Learn to use my words. Aaron Blaze, who is an animator who used to work for Disney and now does his own independent thing online. He sells packages of animation training and brushes, brush packs, and that for Photoshop, Clip Studio, Procreate, anything that works with an ABR format for brushes and that kind of thing. And he put out a new one today. I think it was like his winter or his northern pack. No, it wasn't winter. It was like the northern pack, he calls it. He's been working on this film called Snow Bear, a little independent film. So I think selling these brush packs helps raise a bit of money for putting out his independent animated film. He is a phenomenal animator. The man is absolutely just incredible, disgustingly incredible artist, like just unbelievable. And but these packs are actually really, really good. Like if you're really serious about drawing and you want something to kind of give you some different kinds of brush strokes and things to kind of help highlight your work a little bit, these packs that he puts out are incredible. But yeah, because I'm at a bit of a weird angle here. I haven't done this in so long. I haven't used my tablet in a while, so this is really weird for me doing this now again. I haven't been able to draw in a while. I have nothing in mind. I was saying earlier that I kind of started this without actually anything formally in mind, and usually if I'm going to do something, especially if I want to come in and I want to start doing, because I know, Matt, we've talked about doing caricatures and that kind of thing, and usually, which is fine, but usually when I come into it, I usually like to pre-plan what I'm going to do, so that if I come in on the fly, sometimes something just doesn't go right. So if I was going to do formal caricatures and that kind of thing, it's something I usually kind of pre-plan, but putting all this together today was quite an effort. And if you were here at the beginning of the video, you know why. I could barely sit up straight for a while, and it was all I could. I made an intro for the show today, a quick little intro, and I just been having to get up and move quite a bit, and I might have to take a break after just to move around. My roommate is going to be coming home any minute too. He's going to come through the door, so I told him I was doing a live stream. He knows, but so yeah, I said when you come home, just you kind of be quiet. But yeah, I just I can kind of. I need reference. I need some Draw Godzilla. Even that, I kind of like to have some reference, because I mean, there's some things I can draw really quick, because there's so many different Godzilla designs. I gotta stop drawing stuff kind of straight on. I need to kind of start learning to kind of tilt the head again. Tell you, I'll do these things, but I do need a giraffe. Yeah, I could kind of. This is a mouse. I'm always doing these kind of silly mice. I can here. Actually, it's funny. You mentioned actually drawing about Godzilla. Let me go back. Let me get rid of this. When I was in school, when I was really young, and I used to watch like Godzilla movies every Saturday afternoon back in the 70s and 80s. And I found this. I should see if I can still do it. There was this really silly way that I learned to draw the 70s Godzilla, because he keeps the costumes always changed, and they got sillier and goofier looking as time went until they got into the 80s, and then the 80s and 90s, and they tried to make him more serious. But as I was watching the 70s, the costumes were getting kind of simpler and simpler to the point he looked comical, especially if you watch like Godzilla versus Megalon, like this these giant eyes on it, and he looks like a frog almost. But I found this like way that I could draw him when I was in school, and I'll see if I can still do it. It was really, really simple. But I would start with like the eyebrows. Let me see if I can do this right. But I would do this kind of V shape like this. And I think it was because I got out of the book, and he had a big round mouth and had these like big kind of bulbous eyes. This is kind of it. And right, I do something like this, and have it come down. It looks terrible. And then I'd add the spikes on the back. But yeah, so this was that's really, really quick and very crude. But this was this way that I found that I could draw them really quick. And I had it down to like this fine science. I was like 12 years old. It was really terrible. Get rid of that. But yeah, I was doing it better back then when I was 12 years old than again now. But yeah, now I get very formal about how I'm doing it. Let me see if I can get some reference. I'm the type of person that I do need reference, and I've kind of I don't want to do that. I've had kind of arguments with people online about reference because I believe in using reference. Not everyone has a photographic memory. So like I've used reference my entire life. I was encouraged by my instructors to use reference. And I don't understand this thing where artists are saying you're not a real artist unless you've learned to memorize everything you're going to draw. Like, who goes in and around the world and can memorize everything you looked at unless you have a photographic memory? And not everyone does. Some people do have, what's the word for it? There's a word for I'll just say photographic memory, but you know what I'm talking about. There's actually a word for that, and I can't think of what it is. But yeah, I know. I don't know what it is, but some people are just. I understand there's a point where you learn certain things you're drawing about. So as you go on, you always come back to it. You always maybe remember how to draw something because you drew it so much. But you can't do that with everything. Someone asked me to draw a giraffe. I actually have to look them up. I haven't studied giraffes enough to know how to draw a giraffe out of my head. Wouldn't know the first thing to do. I know they have little pointy things. They got a long nose. You just same as Not a Real DJ. I guess it's kind of the same thing. Yeah, they and whoops, that's my photos. If you ask me to draw a dog, yeah, I've been drawing dogs for so long that I can just do it, right? But a particular kind of dog was a pug. I don't draw pugs that much, so I would need to actually see one. But a lab, if I was to draw like a lab or something like that, sure, I could do that because I used to draw them all the time. Or hounds, because I grew up with owning hounds. So, but let me see what I can bring up here. I used to play music that you enjoy, just like the point of reference. You draw what you know. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just that's, yeah. And let's see what I can get here. Giraffes are such goofy looking animals. They actually have funny faces. They come down with these little snouts. If you ever looked at one straight on, their face is almost it's almost camel like. Sorry, I'm just trying to find a really good picture here that I can. So they do have. So how is everyone else doing? Oh, I'm down to 2 people. Oh, everyone's left. They got bored and left while I'm looking for reference. See, this is why I have to pre-plan this stuff. Everyone gets bored and leaves. So I'll see if I can do this. I've been having some trouble with Clip Studio. It seems to want to change. Like I'm on a drawing tool here, right? And it'll want to change to, I think, this thing up here, which then ends up grabbing it and moving it every time I try to draw. And it seems to do that randomly. So I'll see what I can. See what I can do here. So you can see that we, the way I've learned it is to kind of break things down into shapes. And I'll oversimplify things at first, just to get an idea of where things go first, as opposed to just so I don't go straight into a lot of detail. I want to rough something out, and I'm used to doing circles and breaking shapes down. There was a book from the 60s, I think, and I remember getting it in the library in the 80s, How to Draw Animals, this big yellow book. And I swear we all got that as kids. And I got that so often, I must have wore that thing out. But it would show you in drawing, breaking the animal down into circles, right? It would show that whole process of breaking that. Let's see, this is actually over here a bit more. The whole breaking all the shapes down into these different big circles, and then you would join the circles together and you get an idea where the body was and where the weight is. And I got that book out so often. So when I went to school for drawing and for animation, I already kind of had an idea how that was going to work. I'm already kind of cartooning it, but not too much. The facial expression will have it. But there's more of a gap here, isn't it? There is. I made that way too close. It's like out here. Even that's a little bit close, but that's okay. The one I'm doing has a longer, this side's larger than this one is. Thanks. Yeah, you can always, when you get when you can get the expression of the eyes down, you can kind of really sell an image with that. Giraffes have like eyelids. They have like these, or eyelashes rather. They seem to have these. Whoops! Oh, there we go. Well, that's better. I don't know why I did that to begin with. And the mouth is actually a little bit far. I'm going to take that back in a bit. But you see, after this, I can go in and clean it up a little bit. Oh my goodness. You know, part of the problem is I've been using the iPad so much. I'm used to kind of drawing like a sketchbook right here, and now I'm kind of on this big monitor. I got to get used to doing this again. I kind of been off of it for a little while, but now it kind of doesn't make a lot of sense, but that's okay. And there's, I think, my roommate coming in. My roommate's going to come through the door in a minute. So the other thing, too, is there's been work going on the in my building. They've been working on the apartment across the hall from me and above me. So I got two of them pounding and banging and hitting nails. They're redoing the floors. And it's just been a lot of noise, and it's been very frustrating. There he is. Hello. Hello. All right. So I'm going to do is I want to clean this up a little bit, and I'm going to try and ink it. So what I've done is I've added another layer on the top. You can't see it because this thing is, oh, you can move it. You can kind of see, can I move it on the other side? No, it wants to move all over the place, or wants to stick in that same place. I've added another layer over top of this one. So I'm going to take this drawing layer and I will turn down the opacity, make it really light. It's kind of like laying a sheet of paper over it, and you're putting some tracing paper over it. So when you put, if you have a light box and you're putting a sheet of paper over top of a drawing, obviously it's going to diffuse that drawing underneath. And you want it diffused a little bit because I think the more heavy lines and all those scratchy, rough lines you start seeing, I think becomes a little distracting when you're trying to draw. So when you're inking, you kind of want, I forgot it's over here. Let me turn this up a bit. You want this diffused a little bit because it doesn't have like the proper thick and thin lines in it yet. It's, do you know what I mean? Like it's, too much information is going to throw you off when you're going to try and trace it. So you want it diffused a little bit. So let's turn this down. And I'm going to go to a nice ink pen. So the nice thing I can do here, let me just check the thickness of it. I want it a little bit thicker than usual. The one thing with XP pen, and I'm using an XP pen to draw this, the thick and thin lines come about with pressure, right? So you can see here as I push harder, I go from a soft to a thick line and then back again. So it makes this nice transition. And when I try to draw, like drawing on a sketch pad, if you flick your pencil up as you're doing it, you should get this sort of like nice thick to thin line as it comes up. The XP pen is not doing it yet. Yeah, they call it pressure sensitivity on it, right? And you want that. You want that in your iPad. You want that on your whatever drawing tablet you have. You want that sensitivity. The one thing I found with the XP pen in the inking is that it does tend to leave what they call shoelacing or shoelaces, and that it doesn't make, you can see it's very abrupt here as opposed to, I can induce it. Yeah, even this, the transition in here is a little bit abrupt. You want it to be, that's a little bit better. You want it to go a little bit smoother. So the XP pen is a low to mid-range tablet. They're good. They might not be the very best on the market. Of course, the best on the market is, say it with me, Wacom. But I'm not going to spend $3,000 to $5,000 for a tablet. This I got on a bit of a deal. This I think I got for about, well, there's a long story behind it because I had a 22-inch and it crapped out. So I wrote to them very angry that after 2 years, their 22-inch crapped out after I spent a little over $500 for it. So they gave me a 24-inch, a little bit bigger, at half the price. I still have to figure out what I'm going to do with that 22-inch because it's lost. It's just a power connection and something's wrong with it, but they don't fix it. So I have to go find somebody who fixes monitors and see if I can get it fixed, and then I'll probably sell the 22-inch. But until then, well, regardless, I'm still going to be using this one. But so eventually, when I get that fixed, anyone who wants to buy a drawing tablet, I'll sell my 22-inch probably for a bit of a deal. Let's see how much it costs to fix the damn thing first. But I want to expand this a little bit because I like to get into a little more detail on it. It's not, and I didn't want it to be. I didn't want it to be. That's really thick. Okay, maybe that's a bit too thick. I did want it a little bit heavier, but no. The one thing I am spoiled with as opposed to drawing with a pencil, because I'm doing it with a pencil or inking, especially with ink, once it's down, it's down. Like there's no changing inking. You can't. Yes, yeah, it is. It's true. Yeah, it's not proper. It doesn't look right when it's not. Yeah, it can be a little bit frustrating when you're trying to do that with the pen. You kind of have to keep doing it over and over again. I'm not going to worry about this right now. I'd be too fussy about it. I forgot what I was saying. Their eyes are very dark, so I'm going to fill that in quite a bit. I'll leave a little bit for kind of a light refraction. Maybe like these black tufts of hair on the top. So I kind of don't really like that. Let me go back. Oh, that was it. I've been spoiled with Command Z because when ink goes down, it's permanent. But this, if I go oops, I hit Command Z and that mistake is gone. This was ink on paper. The whole thing would be shot. So yeah, and I found, and I'm sure artists have done this before. You want to know something funny? When I transition back to doing pencil on paper, on a tablet, as you're drawing, my fingers are already over the keyboard. And I know to go, when I make a mistake, it's just thumb and middle finger, Command Z. And it's like right there, ready to go. So I'm drawing, and my fingers just do that. So I grab my sketchbook and I'm working with a pencil on paper, and I make a little mistake where many years ago it would naturally reach for an eraser. My fingers on the paper just went, patted the paper with my thumb and middle finger, and I'm like, why isn't it erased? I actually have to go and get a physical eraser and rub out. But yeah, you ask any artist that starts getting used to using a tablet, their fingers are going to tap the pad with your thumb and middle finger to hit the Command Z that is not existing on your sketchbook. I'm not going to do too much with the color on this. I'll get it after. Their horns that they have are really lumpy, and they're different. Like this one's got two different sizes. One's shorter than the other. One looks bulkier. They're not very straight. They're kind of, well, this side could be a little bit straighter, but they're not very straight, and one's bigger than the other, and one's wonky. So they are very inconsistent. At least this poor one is that I'm drawing. Actually, I don't like. They do look kind of like they're like little short, stubby antennas almost. This could be a little bit tricky. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail here. It's almost like it's got an extra little under chin underneath, but I'm not going to go into that for a simple drawing here. Just going to do that one again. I'm going to go way off screen here. Yeah, I think if I was going to get another tablet, XP Pen is about the third or fourth down the list. Wacom is at the top. Of course, that's the most expensive. The next one up is called Huion. Huion was the first one, I think, that really came out and decided to be a competitor for Wacom, because for a long time, Wacom was like, if you wanted a drawing tablet, like I should say a drawing display like this, you had to go with Wacom. And even one of my first drawing tablets was one of the flat black tablets that were just, you drew here, but it would show up on the screen. So all you had was a flat black pad, and you drew on that black pad and it would show on the screen. And I did not have the hand-eye coordination to run my pen here and then see it come up on here. I couldn't make that work. Some people can do that really well. Joshua Kemble still uses that system. He has the black tablet that he draws on. He's doing his whole book like that. That's amazing. I can't do it. I have to look at where the pen is connecting to the glass or paper or glass. I have to see that contact point. I can't have it down here and then have it come up here, looking here while trying to draw here. Just never worked for me. What I did with it is that I would do the drawings in pencil and pen and ink, and any mistakes I'd made, I'd scan it. And then any mistakes, it was easier to go in and just fix little mistakes with it. And that's or color it as well. I could do that. But yeah, I just could not get that hand-eye coordination. So it took a long time before I could actually afford a nice drawing tablet. And I'm not disappointed actually with the first one I got was actually quite nice. It was a little expensive one, and it was smooth glass. And then I wanted to upgrade to a newer one that they had that had tilt capability, where if you tilted your pen while you're drawing, you get a different effect. Like if you take a pencil and you go on its side, you get the edge of the pencil, so you get that nice shaded effect. Or if you did that with like a brick of Conte or charcoal, if you lean it sideways, you get a broader stroke, right? And you can kind of do that with the right tools. So the original glass one I had couldn't do that. So I wanted to upgrade to a new one that would do that. I thought I could do more coloring in that with it, right? It had more possibilities, and it had a matte finish on it. So I thought, okay, I'm going to upgrade. So I sold my old one to my roommate, Jim. He's got my previous one, which was a pro model. Actually, it was really nice, but it was an older pro model. So I bought the new one, which was the new 22-inch, Generation 2 it was called. And I really liked it. It was going fine for 2 years. Until it crapped out 1 month after its warranty ended. It was getting no power. I was clicking the power and nothing was coming on. Checked all the connections, did everything right. Messaged XP Pen. They really kind of weren't very helpful, and I was really mad at them, actually. If you go back, you'll see I have some videos and some shorts with me, like getting really bitchy about the fact they took forever to get back to me. And they didn't really provide any help. I was like asking them, what causes this? What can I do in the future to avoid this happening? Never answered my question. Never answered my questions. It was 1 month after my warranty had ran out. My warranty was, I forget how long it was. Maybe it wasn't even 2 years. I forget it was like 18 months warranty. And it was literally 3 months after the warranty ended. And I thought, what kind of curse do I have over my head, for real? Like, what did I do? Did I don't know, did I upset some gypsy woman in another life? Like, what did I do that somebody came and, I don't know. It's like this kind of stupid shit just keeps happening. And I thought, okay, so so they gave me like practically 50% off the 24-inch, was a bit bigger. It's the same thing, just larger. Like, I need this fucking thing to draw with, because I had work I was doing at the time that I needed to get done. So yeah, I took it and went, fine, I'll take it, but this is the last model I'm going to get. Eventually I'll sell this one, and I will go with a not the Wacom, but the other one. I'm drawing a blank on the name I just said. This is an XP Pen. The other one, the other model. Helion. I'll go with the Helion next time. I'm kind of not ready to do that yet, but eventually that's what I'm going to do, is I'll just go with oops, that's not very good. But yeah, I was so angry. So in my closet is that 22-inch sitting there, and eventually I'll take it somewhere that fixes monitors, get them to kind of do. This nose stick's really high. That was maybe a little bit too high. Somebody that can look at monitors and fix it, because it's just the power connection. Like, it wasn't like it was screwing up the drawings or anything like that. It was just it was just a power connection on it, right? And it was just not getting, because it was working fine earlier in the day, and I turned it off and then came back and it crapped out. This should have been more of an angle here, but anyways, I'm not going to worry about it. This is, I kind of want to fix this a little bit. This is like sticking way up too high. So yeah, always look at your whoops, it's doing it. Yeah, look at your warranty if you ever buy anything like that. And I actually went on YouTube. I was so angry. I went on YouTube and watched everyone who reviewed that model, because I bought it about a year after it came out. And I watched every artist who reviewed that model. This is doing that stupid thing again. It only does it with Clip Studio. And I left in the comments. You'll see if you go through if you go through for the XP Pen 22-inch Generation 2. I probably left a comment in there saying, "Yep, got this," and it crapped out after a year and a half. Don't bother with it. So yeah, and I'm sure Huion is probably not too impressed. But you know what? Stand behind your product. So one of my layers, which is covered up by my image here, by my fat face, I'm going to click the little eye icon, and it doesn't delete the layer, but it will make it invisible. So the sketch layer underneath, let me just add this one line here, which I kind of want to put down. It just makes it disappear, makes it invisible, so it's less distracting, right? So there you can see the sketches there, and it's not there, and it's not. You can just see the faint lines, right? So I'm going to make that disappear. I'm going to add another layer underneath. I like to name my layers. So the top one I'm just going to call it ink because it's my ink layer. The layer I just added underneath is currently blank. Is a blank space. I'm going to call it color. I'm going to spell it with a U because I'm Canadian. And even the bottom, which is invisible, I'm just going to call it sketch. And what I'm going to do is on this top one, I think you can kind of see here, just above my image here, I'm going to click on the little lock because the drawing's done. And I click on the lock because it's every artist's nightmare that they start coloring something and realize they're coloring on the wrong layer. You don't want to color directly on the ink layer. I know some people do that to save time, but you have this nice benefit of layers in your in every program. And layers are very handy. You should use your layer. My roommate would argue, but I don't care. You have the thing of adding layers. It helps putting different aspects of your work on a different layer helps preserve. You can fix mistakes. If I color directly on this layer and I make a huge mistake with the coloring, it's done. It's down. Like that's a destructive format. If it's underneath, I put the color underneath, and I'm going to use this kind of yellowy color here. It's a yellowy orange. Right. So I'm coloring. And I go, oh, now if that's on the same layer, somehow I have to erase this, unless I can hit Command Z. But if I've done this, if I've gone now several steps, and I've done a whole bunch of other things to it, now I realize, oh, this spot I have to fix. That was steps and steps and steps ago. I can't just hit Command Z because I have to go through all the things I just did and erase a whole lot of work. But the thing is, I've done this on a completely different layer. I've done this on a lower layer. So I can, I'm just going to widen that. So, yeah, I can go outside the line a little bit, and I can come in with my eraser and just kind of go up to the edge like that. Right, I can clean these edges up. Right, and also another thing too is if I wanted to fill this with one direct, with a fill bucket. Story of my life. So let's say I go to the ink layer. Now you can see I've just added. It might be hard to see if you're watching on a phone or a tablet. It'll be very small, but I've just highlighted this and added a bunch of marching ants, and this selects this particular area. I can add a. I can take my fill bucket and hit the color. Now I added this selection on the top layer, but the bottom layer will recognize that my color layer, even though these marching ants are going around the ink level, the color level underneath will still read this top level. So if I hit the fill bucket, it still fills that in. Right. Now, I'll hit Command D, which clears that. If I was to zoom in, you can see it leaves a little bit of white around the edges. Now, because the color is on a lower level, I can just take the brush and then just take my ink, and then just by hand, I can go, here, let's shrink that a little bit more so it can work. I can just kind of drag this along, and it's adding the color underneath the ink. You see, it's not going over top of the ink. If I was to color this on top of the ink level, I'm going to unlock it. The color is going right over top of the ink, right? You don't want to do that. But if I go color underneath, and I'm going to lock it, you see I can fill in the nose, and that color is going underneath. And I've locked the ink layer so I don't accidentally color on the ink level, because I've done that before. There's nothing worse than you're working on something and realizing you're putting the color on the wrong layer. So once I'm done with the layer, like the ink, I don't want to put anything else on the ink layer. I lock it. So if I accidentally click on it, try and do something, oh, I get this little no symbol there, meaning you can't do that. It's locked. So handy thing to have. All right. So let's color this old girl in here. There's a lot of mixed. I don't think I'm going to do the whole thing today because there's a lot of mixed colors, and I'd have to sit and kind of figure out a color scheme for this. And on an actual giraffe, it's kind of painted, so it's a photograph, and you see all the different blends of oranges to yellows, and then there's the spots. And thanks, Matt. This is all kind of tablet drawing 101. It's all the kind of basics. I think most actual artists or people who've started kind of mostly know this, but for some people who don't know much about it or are new to young people who are just drawing for the first time and not used to using tablets, it's handy little things like this to know. And sometimes if you don't know and no one's ever explained it to you before, I see a lot of people, and they post stuff and they've never been told certain information. It's not they're stupid, and they get responses. They get these awful replies to people like, apparently you've never done this before. Why would you ask such a stupid question? I'm like, the guy or girl, whoever it might be, is asking this because they honestly just, no one's ever told them before. So, back off. I'm sure a lot of shit that you didn't know felt stupid for finding out later. I don't know. People are just mean on the internet for no reason. And it's every community. I've seen it in the artist community, right? Like the whole thing with that whole thing I was talking about with having to use reference. And there's artists there's a young guy who was on TikTok I saw a while ago. And he's just a young fella. He's very good. Very, very good artist. And I got really annoyed that he was, doing this painting, and he was talking about how you should learn things so you don't have to keep pulling up reference. And I've been putting up reference for 35 years because I just don't have a photographic memory. I use reference all the damn time. I've worked in animation studios. I've been doing this for my entire life. And sometimes you want to see reference and not just make guesswork. Because if you look at reference, you can see all kinds of information that you could put into a drawing and make something out of that. You could see something and go, oh, I didn't know that. Like doing a giraffe. I knew it had ears, I knew it had the horns, but I wasn't sure the shape of its face. I was thinking it was more cow-like for some reason. And I realized, oh no, it goes really, really thin. and then has this little bloop thing right here at the end of the face. Oh, that's actually really cute. That's really funny. You can do something with that. So, and I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't pulled up some giraffe reference. That's really dark. So yeah, I can use my eyedrop tool to go back and find this exact same yellow color again, because I want something just a little, not quite as brown as the spots, but a little bit golden off of that first. Let's try that. So it's just a little bit darker, a little bit oranger. Well, that's kind of almost the same color. It wasn't supposed to be. But communities should, communities, if they have a similar mindset, should look after each other, should look out for each other. And we really do find ways to just turn it around to be horrible to each other. I don't know, I'm putting in way too much effort into this. You have the idea here. I'd have to sit and work out like a color scheme for this, but yeah, it's a giraffe. But the picture I'm looking at has a lot of like colors going. You can see going from like whites into oranges into darker oranges, and then the brown spots. So there's like 5 or 6 different colors it could go into. So I'm going to, I think I'm just going to kind of leave it for now. These are really solid colors. I can go into, there's lots of brushes. Like I've got the Air and Blaze brush set, which has hair, animal hair. Yeah, it really is. It's true. The more, yeah. I don't even know where to begin. I don't think I could. But yeah, the more you start spending time trying to be part of a community sometimes and just you start seeing how they turn on each other. It's like people like to, apparently, because they know more than somebody else, or they, interesting. I don't know if I do that, but you can see you can do some painting. Hey, Big Bad Mama, how you doing? You see, this says nice. This is a hair effect, and it's a little too thick and heavy. It's a little bushy, but you can see it has kind of a nice like brushing effect with it, and it changes the tone of the color in there. So that's actually really nice. If I wanted to do this more as a painting, being that is animation, I just wanted to make simple colors on this and simple blotches and areas of colors. Back in the old day when they did cells, you couldn't really blend colors on a cell because you had like, whether it was TV animation or movie animation, you had multiple per second. It's multiple drawings per second, anywhere from like 3 to 12 to even 24. And so to try and blend an area and have that go exactly on every frame is impossible to do. So instead they would have like areas of color. That's why you see solid areas of color. And sometimes they do a little bit of airbrushing on the top of the cell. You'll see that, especially in the old days, you see, like, if you see Snow White, like the blush of her face, there's a bit of fading or blend. It looks like blending, but they've airbrushed the top of it a little bit, and they do that so that. But it's hard to keep that consistent, and it was a long, expensive process to do that. And later on films, you'll see they kind of stopped doing that. You jump ahead. I was looking at Robin Hood the other day, Disney's Robin Hood, which is a cute film, very well animated, but you'll see it's at that point they started Xeroxing the pencil drawings as opposed to having somebody ink them, tracing them over on the cells. They actually just Xerox the cells, and 101 Dalmatians was the first to do that. So everything after 101 Dalmatians, Jungle Book, Robin Hood, all of those up until Little Mermaid, they were Xeroxing the cells. And so you could see it. You'd see it look like pencil lines on there, very fine pencil lines. And in Robin Hood, you can even see the breakdown sketches. If you were to go frame by frame, you can see the center lines and the cross lines and the drawings and that, right? All the breakdowns if you watch it. But the animation, though, is flipping fantastic. The actual process, the animation. But the look of it, though, when they went to do the cells and the backgrounds, was very budgeted. It works very well because it looks like a storybook. It looks like something you could read in a kid's storybook, which was the effect they were going for. Sorry, I forgot where I was going with that. This is my ageism coming out. I had Jell-O today. As I'm going to leave this just as this is, because I'm just sort of, I need to figure out what I was going to do with the color on this, and I don't really know exactly what I want to do. But I'm going to leave it. I'm going to save it, and it's Clip Studio. Save as. Moving to the desktop. Giraffe. And it will save that. And I'm going to quit. There we go. It's going to come back to me. And I'm going to move over. Oh, you see on my crappy background. I have to plan this out a little better in the future so I don't try not to move things like that later on. And clear this. And yeah, that was, so it's 12:30. But yeah, I think, how long have I been going for? Oh, an hour and 12 minutes. Okay, not bad. But yeah, I think I'm just going to call it here. So that's going to be it. The Saturday show, I can't start yet. I need to shoot some preliminary footage, and I can't shoot any preliminary footage until this is cleared up, because this just stands out like a sore thumb, as you can see. So this has got to clear up before I can do anything. So the Saturday show's on hold. I don't know. Maybe I'll do a video in the meantime. I don't know what I'm going to do. It depends on what happens and what drops into my lap. Because I never know what exciting new thing is going to come my way. So, but next Wednesday, I think Enrique is going to be on, and we'll see if we can have a more concrete topic to talk about, because there's been a few new little advancements in AI I was kind of hoping to talk about, and and a few other little things in the art world that's going on. Just some fun things we'll talk about, and that'll be next Wednesday. And I think also, is it next Wednesday or the Wednesday after? My friend Dave does his Star Trek talk just before I start mine, and he had to put it on hold while he was away on vacation. I think he's away for another week, but I'll be on his Star Trek stream for fun, and then I'll kind of jump into my stream afterwards, which times out really well because I'll have all the equipment up and ready to go. But that's it. Matt, we'll talk to you in a little bit, and I'm going to end this here, and you all have a good week, and hopefully I will see you all next Wednesday, I imagine. Have a good night, folks.